free enterprise for what it actually is, a healthy horse pulling a sturdy wagon. I listen to those words today, or you listen to those words today, and I couldn't imagine Winston Churchill saying them at this moment, particularly with the national headlines of 6.6 million Americans filing for unemployment insurance, with the headlines that we've seen as a trend line for the last few weeks. In March 12th of this year, we started to see applications for unemployment insurance here in the state of California skyrocket. Now over 1.9 million Californians alone since March 12th have filed for unemployment insurance. We've averaged 111,000 unemployment insurance claims on a daily basis in this state over just the last 7 days. The economic consequences are profound, and I want to speak to those issues today, not only from the individual's perspective as it relates to unemployment insurance claims, the issue of jobs, but also the impact on Main Street, the impact on small businesses. 49% of state employees, or rather 49% of all private sector employees in the state of California are employed by small businesses, people that make a go of it, put everything on the line, take risks in ways large and small. When we think about small businesses, it's not someone with hundreds of employees. In many cases, it's not someone with any employees. Self-employed individuals, independent contractors, businesses that have one or two part-time employees. And so often we take them for granted, even in the best of times. Right now, they have been devastated. And I want to speak specifically about what the state of California is proposing to do for small businesses. And I also want to highlight what the federal government has done to help small businesses, because we will not be the beneficiary of that help unless we are aware of what it is exactly that is being provided and how we can access those supports. So let me begin with what the state is now announcing and advancing as it relates to supporting small businesses. Every small business man or woman knows exactly what I'm referencing when it comes to the issue of sales tax. We collect your sales tax as a small business. We send it to the state, distributed back down to the cities and counties. The customer pays the sales tax. We hold that into an account. Every quarter, we fill out forms, small business men and women, and I'm a former small business man, so I know a thing or two about this. And we send that money to the state. What we are calling for today is a one-year reprieve for small businesses where no fines, no penalties will be attached, where they can take upwards of $50,000 as a loan and not have to pay the state those sales tax receipts for 12 months. In essence, it is a bridge loan. The money that you've already collected, you will not have to pay the state for 12 months. No penalties, no interest, de facto a loan. I had previously signed an executive order extending for a number of months through July 31st the need to even file your sales tax. This extends beyond that as a reprieve so that upwards of $50,000 can be used as a bridge loan over the course of the next 12 months. And I call it a bridge loan in this context because we need to be able to get the federal dollars into the state of California, which means we need to get people to apply for these federal supports that were recently announced, both in the previous stimulus and then the more recent stimulus that just passed, the $2.2 trillion. There are two programs in particular I want to highlight, and they're incredibly important for small businessmen and women to take advantage of. Number one was the disaster account. It's the small business loan related to injury related to the economic consequences of COVID-19. You can get a $10,000 loan up front as your application is being processed. You're presumed eligible for the dollars in that loan account. That loan provides upwards of $2 million for small businesses, payback over 30-year period, and interest rates of 3.75%, and for nonprofits in that category, 2.75%. We want to make sure people are taking advantage of that economic injury disaster loan program. We have information on our covid19.ca.gov website, covid19.ca.gov website, that will link you to the SBA, link you to the services and supports so that you can take advantage of that program. The other even more significant program was just recently passed in the CARES Act. Again, that's the $2.2 trillion act. This provides businesses up to $10 million loans if you continue to pay your employees. You have to provide 75% of all of that loan benefit to your employees, to payroll. This can be done through your bank, through traditional institutions, not just through the SBA. This is the Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP program, that is finally getting some attention. This is a profoundly significant program that has $349 billion of federal supports attached to it. This program starts tomorrow, and that's why it's incredibly important people start filling out the application, filling out the form to make sure that they are aware of their eligibility. And this is one of those things, a lot of people are going to be rushing to get the benefit of this program. Again, April 3rd is the first day to start drawing down those applications. So work with your bank, work with your lender, and if you commit to keeping your employees, even if you have no business, even if your business is closed, but you pay your employees, this is a grant program, not a loan program, where you are reimbursed for the costs. Again, the cap is $10 million, not insignificant. But there is a modest, well, modest is relative, but a 0.5% fee attached to it. Interest rates fixed at 0.5%. Above and beyond that, you have the capacity to substantially get all of that loan completely paid off by the federal government as a grant on the other side. This all may sound very complicated. In many respects, it is. We just want to make it easier for folks. And again, go to our website, that covid19.ca.gov website, and we've got a link right there, and we'll link all the information to folks so they can take advantage of these programs. The reality, though, is not everyone can take advantage of these programs. While the SBA has debt forgiveness programs and they have other programs that one can avail themselves to, not everybody has the capacity to get an SBA loan. And as a consequence of that, we're announcing today the state of California is putting $50 million into our iBank, our infrastructure bank, to create micro-lending opportunities for people that otherwise would not be eligible for SBA relief, the Paycheck Protection Act, and these other emergency injury disaster programs. And so it's an additional contribution for the state to address those that may otherwise fall through the crack. So that's an overall sense of what we're trying to do, to highlight those federal supports, advance some state relief through sales tax up to $50,000 for a year with no interest, no penalties, and then provide micro-lending opportunities through our iBank in the state of California. And we're encouraging businesses, large and small, again, up to hundreds and hundreds of employees that are eligible for the status of these benefits to do just that and get prepared, because tomorrow, again, on that Paycheck Protection Program, those applications will start being processed. And so let's get ahead of the queue, and let's make sure, if you know someone is a small business person, make them aware of this. And if you are a small business person, let's make sure you get this paperwork done and get those applications in as quickly as possible. Something else we're announcing today, I'm very proud of. I met with a small group of people in Fresno, California, about a year ago, an organization called Bitwise. Remarkable economic story in Fresno and in the Central Valley, one that's not often highlighted in the news. It's not just an agricultural community. It's a vibrant community with remarkable human capital, young people, people young at heart, doing incredible things, a good entrepreneurial spirit, and a technical expertise that is very present in the Central Valley. And Bitwise is the center of this. Bitwise has partnered with LinkedIn and Salesforce to create a new site called onwardca.org, onwardca.org. And that's about getting us back up on our feet. not just small businesses, now people that have been laid off that need a job. Bitwise has already created a remarkable website to match open jobs to individuals and their particular skill set. They actually prompt 37 questions to specify where you are geographically, what your exact skill set is, what your wage preference may look like, and then they match you with open job listings throughout the state of California. Already 70,000 open jobs are now listed on their site. We'll probably have 100+ thousand just in the next number of days. They prioritized 4 areas that disproportionately now are hiring, remarkably, at this moment. Not surprisingly, though, healthcare being one of those 4 areas. Agriculture is looking for workforce. Logistics, broadly defined, be that transportation, warehousing, and the like. The logistics sector is in need of support. And, of course, grocers. 70+ thousand open jobs today in the state of California. Go to the Bitwise news site, this onwardca.org site, and fill out those applications and see if we can match you with the job just down the road, and make sure we get you off unemployment insurance, or if you haven't gone on, make sure you don't have to go on, so that we can get you into the workforce at this time. So I want to again thank our partners in that process and putting together this aggregated job listing website. We also are very pleased about the work that is being done, the heroic work by some estimates. I mentioned one March 12th. Not surprising, that's unprecedented, and it's overwhelming the call volume at our department we refer to as EDD. That's our state department that's responsible for processing applications for unemployment insurance. They had a 21-day turnaround on those unemployment checks in the good days. We are struggling to keep up with that. We're still confident we can do that. We have reorganized our staffing, 200 additional folks to deal with the surge of demand. We have 800 other folks that are now ready to increase that capacity beyond even the surge of supports to make sure we're getting these checks out to you as quickly as possible. I'll remind folks, checks are from the low of $40 to as high as $450 a week for unemployment insurance. And in addition to that, people are eligible for at least the next 4 months for an additional $600 on top of the $40 to $450 a week because of the federal stimulus. And so those that may not have availed themselves to the unemployment insurance, please do so. Again, easiest site is the covid19.ca.gov site, but EDD will process these, and we are doing everything we can to make sure we do so in a timely manner, because we recognize people are feeling deep anxiety about just paying for basic necessities and food and rent and the like, and childcare for so many, et cetera. So that's it in broad strokes where we're leaning in to this economic moment. I should just preview, I've got an economic development team focusing on how we can get this state back on its feet sooner than later, and what that looks like from an economic stimulus perspective. Some of the best and the brightest from across the country now advising the state of California, our Department of Finance, our GoBiz, which is our economic development team, and advising us which sectors that we should focus on, and looking at our regulatory system and looking at ways we can stimulate real growth in real time when we turn the corner on this virus. And so I want folks to know that we're taking this very, very seriously, but we have to deal with the immediate, and that's helping small businesses, and that's certainly helping individuals that are out of work with these unemployment insurance claims.